Hey, good afternoon. It's good to see everybody today. My name is Bonnie Barclay. I am a therapist and the owner of Creekside Counseling and Wellness in Knoxville, Tennessee. And today is the Trauma Talk in 10. I'm going to be focusing today on relational trauma, specifically shame. So, all of us struggle with shame at some time in our lives, but today I'm going to focus specifically on shame that comes from relationship trauma, specifically relationship trauma in childhood. While shame develops from different forms of abuse, I want to explore the underlying connection today between shame and misattunement. So before we jump into that, I want to look at the difference between shame and guilt. Clarifying this difference is really important because people often confuse the two, shame with guilt. And they're related but different emotions. And knowing the difference can help shape how you show up with others as a coworker, a partner, parent, or a friend. So let's look at the two. So, first, guilt. Guilt is a feeling you get when you did something wrong or you perceived you did something wrong. Focus more on the behavior. And shame is a feeling that your whole self is wrong. And it may not be related to a specific behavior or an event. So, when you feel guilty about the wrong thing you did, you can take steps to make up for it and put it behind you. But feeling shame or being convinced that you are the thing that's wrong offers no clear-cut way to come back to feeling more positive about yourself. And that's the one difference that is key between shame and guilt. Shame is characterized by the belief, I am bad. This emotion is based upon a distorted sense of yourself as being unworthy, damaged, or a failure. So, why is shame so pervasive? Young children are completely dependent on a caregiver, and you face this critical conflict. Your biological drive to seek closeness from the very source of the terror or fear you were trying to escape. Adults who were abused or neglected as children will often blame themselves. This can lead to persistent feelings of guilt and shame. EMDR therapist and author Jim Knight proposes that this self-blame is directly linked to childhood logic. Children will develop a fantasy that they are bad, relying upon good parents to avoid confronting the terrifying reality that they are good kids, relying on bad parents. When parents are frightening, abusive, or unavailable, children can feel confused about who's at fault. When the vulnerable child does not get their mind body needs met during developmental milestones, they feel emotionally abandoned, rejected, or betrayed by their parents. And this is very overwhelming to the child. Unresolved emotional and relational experiences with our primary caretakers cause us to feel unworthy of love and insecure in our relationships with others and ourselves. The helpless child blames themselves to protect the bond with their parents so that they can feel safe and secure. Chronic self-blame morphs into shame after the age of 2. Children have to blame themselves for attachment failures in order to survive. The child makes themselves bad and their parents good to feel safe and secure. So I want to just touch base a minute about the still face experiment, attunement, and misattunement. If you haven't seen the still face video, check it out with the caution that this can be triggering. It's an old school psych video about attunement. And in the video, a mother and baby are playing. The mother has good eye contact, mirrors the faces the baby is making, and they are touching with their hands. That's attunement. But then, a part of the experiment, the mother is asked to look away and puts her hands down. Then she turns her back to the baby with a flat affect and doesn't make any expressions at all. And the baby does three things. First, the baby tries hard to touch and reach and make the same sounds and faces they were just doing that was so happy for them both. When that doesn't work, the baby gets angry and tries to push the mother away with what is happening because it's so unpleasant. And when she won't go away but still isn't attuned, the baby can only resolve this by matching her, physically turning away and also making a flat face without expression. I have watched this video several times and it gets me every time. I've actually watched this video with a client recently in session to explain to her the relationship she had with her mother, who struggled to be emotionally present, dismissing this over the course of her life. For the sake of the baby, at the end of the experiment, the mother does repair the misattunement by turning back to the baby and re-engaging. And this isn't to imply that if you aren't in tune all the time to your child or your baby, that they're going to end up traumatized. This is more of a cumulative effect of an ongoing misattunement. So the brain detects this misattunement at a level that isn't even conscious. And what we refer to that is neuroception. This happens at a neurological level before perception and awareness even happens. So you think about it, sometimes we'll talk about, oh, the hair on the back of my neck was standing up before you even knew what was really going on that might be uncomfortable. It's kind of that sense. The brain scans for danger and will pick up on subtle cues. In adulthood, this may not even be accurate. Remember, our brain doesn't always give us the best information. It doesn't always equate to what's happening now, even though it's triggered from something that happened in the past. It doesn't always know what's running the show. So relational trauma is traumatic, certainly with abuse, clearer abuse with physical, sexual, those types of things. But at the core, the underlying issue is misattunement. When that mother shut down and wasn't in tune with the baby became in distress. As children, we get caught in this loop where we can't turn toward our caregiver for safety, but we also can't get away from them. There's no way to resolve that. There's no way to make it better. There's no way to get away. The only way out of the loop is to separate or dissociate from the loop itself. And the child does this in a way that it says, we ourselves are wrong for having needs, rather than our parents are wrong for not having met them. So this is where the shame comes in. Because guilt is what we feel when we feel bad about something we did. Shame is what we feel when we feel bad about who we are. Our brain tries to escape the loop caused by misattunement, and it does that by assuming we are wrong for needing in the first place. Because if we were right for needing, then our caregivers would have met our needs. So let me say that one more time. How the child escapes this is assuming we were wrong for needing in the first place. The problem, of course, is that those thoughts are not accurate. It's not true. You are not bad for needing. You are not wrong for wanting your emotional needs met. You are not a failure because you are hungry, or you want to be held, or you need eye contact. You are human. As humans, we are wired for connection. It's hard, though, to overcome shame because when trauma is relational, then relationships themselves are triggering. We engage in all kinds of avoidance behaviors to hide from people and vulnerability in relationships. It may be very hard to feel safe, even when nothing is actually wrong, because in the past, relationships themselves is where the danger was. It's one of the reasons I've talked about the sound relationship house through a trauma lens. Bids for connection are important in any relationship, but for a trauma survivor, being attuned is healing, and not responding to bids is repeating trauma. The brain is changed by trauma, but the good news is that it's also changed by healing. We hurt in relationships, but we also can heal in relationships. EMDR is different than talk therapy. It addresses the brain and body both, so healing on a deeper level can occur. So powerful. So I hope this helps you kind of unpack the difference between guilt and shame and how important these early years can be on relationship and our sense of self. It doesn't mean that all is lost. Like I said, healing is possible. If you need help with that, please reach out, whether it's through my practice or I can help you navigate obtaining a therapist to help support you on your healing journey. Please feel free to reach out no matter where you are. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon. Bye.